Some people went for C, releasing poisonous waste into their environment. Who went for that? Let me see those hands. I heard something in there. C, went for C? Yeah, show it. It's just as good as an answer as E. Can anybody go for anything other than C and E? Please.
Okay.
Anybody anything different?
So which one are we supposed to take?
Which one should you have picked? Oh, interesting. Okay, well I'll talk you through my reasonings. E, imposing order on a chaotic system, is what we are you aware of this idea that the universe tends towards chaos? Yeah. And that if you want to have an organized structure, if you want to organize your structure, you need to put in energy. And this is what we see in life. We see that energy has been expended by living things to create order from chaos. They organize molecules in a very structured way. And that's the characteristic number one of life. Having an organized structure? Yeah, that's not chaos. That's organization. What about receiving information and signals from outside? Sure. You need to receive information if you're going to respond to it. Releasing poisonous waste? This is excretion. Now, anything that is dangerous for the body, anything that is toxic, any waste product needs to be removed. The only thing that all living things don't do is breathe in oxygen. Many organisms can respire with no oxygen. The difference between organisms that are, you had the word Maisha, I think earlier, didn't you? You were talking about it? It's the difference between being aerobic and aerobic. You all okay with that, Paddy? Aerobic and anaerobic. Aerobic means I breathe in oxygen in order to survive. Anaerobic means I can survive where there is no oxygen. So the answer we were looking for there was A. It's not a characteristic of life breathing in oxygen. When I mean characteristic, I mean something that all living things do. Okay, number two then. What did you guys go for number two along here? Domain contains all of the rest. That's what we mean by most inclusive. Yeah, it contains all of the others. Within domains, there will be kingdoms. Okay, good. So, number three. So, down here, Getan, Azumi, what did you choose for number three?
E.
In number E, all of the species in your bacteria make up your what? Oh, yeah, this is a tough question. This wasn't really in the material. I think I might have to get rid of this one. We've got microscope, microflora, micrograph, microgamete, and microorganism. Hang on a second. Let's cross a few of these out that it can't be. I'm pretty sure it's not a microscope. Yeah, okay, we're good with that. It's not a microscope. Excellent. Also, does anyone recognize the name microgamete? Gamete. Yeah, what is a gamete?
Gamete is an egg cell.
A sex cell, yeah. And frequently sex cells come in large size and small size. Egg cells and sperm cells in our species. And the sperm cell would be regarded as a microgamete. Yeah, that's not what we're talking about here. Microgamete is not a sex cell. So what have we got now? What is a micrograph? Yeah, it's like a photograph, but it's taken with a microscope. Yeah, a microscope photograph, if you will. It doesn't have to be light. You can get a micrograph done with an electron microscope, can't you? It doesn't have to be light. So micrograph is what they call it. What does that leave us with then? So what is a microorganism? Yeah, it's an organism that's really, really small, probably unicellular. However, the actual word I was looking for was microflora. It wasn't in the class. It's a tough question. Maybe I should take that out. Microflora means all of those things that are living inside your gut. So there are lots of products that are out there to help us with our microflora. Yogurts and fermented foods and all these kind of things are very good for your microflora. Yeah. Is that okay? So each individual bacterium is a microorganism, and together they make up a microflora. Tough question. Another tough question. Sorry.
Can you repeat microflora?
What is microflora? Yeah, microflora is the population of microorganisms inside a human's gut.
Thank you. Doesn't flora generally mean plant?
Yeah, flora originally means plants. Yeah. However, the distinction between what's a plant and what's an animal doesn't really apply at the microscopic level. Yeah. So originally it was all the tiny little plants inside you. But now we know they're not plants. Yeah. This term was in use a long time before. Okay. Sorry? Good or not?
Yes.
Yeah, on we go. Cool. So number 4, another way to describe the scientific method. What way did you use to describe the scientific method, Long? Yeah. I'm just kind of moving along this way.
It's A, dependent upon observation, B, between hypothesis and careful experiment design, and scrutiny of experimental results, data, leading to conclusions that produces or supports the hypothesis.
Good. That sounds exactly like we described it, isn't it? You read that and you knew that was the choice for you. Yeah. But what, did anybody like any of the others? The others make sense? A conceptual and an ethical framework that guides scientific inquiry. It's true, eh? It's true, yeah. It imposes the idea of how we gain knowledge and certain behaviours that are good and bad. What about number C? What about part C? It's dependent upon getting the word out, so you need to publish as part of it. Is that part of the scientific method? Dissemination of results? It is, yeah. What I was actually hoping for there was that you would accept A, B, and C by choosing option D. Yes. Is that alright? Did you read the rest?
Well, I'm not sure.
Yeah. So with multiple choice questions, it's always good to try a positive approach, where you find one that you like, and also try a negative approach, where you remove some that are certainly wrong, and hopefully you'll get agreement between the two approaches. Okay, moving further on then. So Sarah, 5. Choose the answer that best describes the scientific method. What did you go for? You went for D. Observe first, then hypothesis, then experiment, and conclusion. Good. Anybody disagree with that? You went with C? Hypothesis first, then experiment, then observe, conclusion. Yeah. A lot of people go for C on this, because what I meant by observation, though, was simply looking about without any purpose. Just examining the world, just thinking about it, looking around. I think what you mean by observation there is collection of results or data from the experiment. Yeah, in that case C would be fine. If you take observation to be gathering the results from the experiment, that's fine. I had intended that you would go with D, as I said. These questions, by the way, are full of errors, mistakes. I'm changing them the whole time. I'm always regularly wrong. So they're not exam questions, so they're not checked as rigorously as the real questions are. And they're also designed to be, as often as possible, to be ambiguous, vague, difficult, and requiring thinking and discussion. Yeah, they're not the standard MCQs you get in your exam. Okay, so down the way. So Abdul Rahman, experiments are carefully designed in an attempt to do what? Yeah, I showed you one that was testing multiple experimental variables, wasn't it? Did I show you one experiment? Or did I say it was 2? Yeah, each experiment in principle should only be looking at one variable, and we should have a control, and we have had some variation on that control in one variable. So it's not a great answer to test multiple experimental variables. Most experiments only test one variable. What else? Anybody go for something different? A. Prove a hypothesis. Again, in principle, experiments can never really prove a hypothesis. Inductive proof is impossible to do. If I told you that every man that walks down that road is a policeman, is it true?
Maybe.
Well, let's say we go out and we ask the next 3 people that pass. Let's say it's possible. It's not likely, but let's say it's possible. 3 of them are policemen. Proved. It's not proved. It's not proved at all, because even if I find 1,000 policemen, still, it only takes one person to walk by who is not a policeman, and then the hypothesis is disproved. So actually an experiment is a way to try to disprove a hypothesis rather than prove it.
So we say either a hypothesis is either valid or invalid, not true or false.
Yeah, you can say we can continue to work under this hypothesis. And if a hypothesis withstands many, many experiments, it will move into the realm of being theory, which is accepted as it's the way we think the world works right now. Yeah. So what are we looking for? Develop an educated guess. I think it's really none of the above. Yeah. Okay, in a scientific experiment, who am I picking on now? Salam, is it? Salam, sorry. What did you choose for number 7? In a scientific experiment, the group in which all the variables are at constant values. What is that called? Oh, but we can't say all the variables are constant in the independent variable. You know what I mean? We need a thing which has got several variables. So on the graph, I showed you different treatments. Remember different treatments? Some warm wet, some warm dry, some cold wet, some cold dry. 4 different treatments. One of those treatments had the values set to their basic normal values. For seeds, we decided it would be no heat and no water. Is that alright? What did we call that? Control, yeah. Now, we also called it treatment A, but we showed when we talked about it that group A were working as a control because they had everything set to their normal standard values, and that everything else was compared to them, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, good. Which of the following groups of organisms contain prokaryotes? So, Ohan, did you get as far as this? Oh, that's me. You can move it along. Do you know? No. So what we're looking at here, you have a choice. Prokaryotic cells. The bacteria, the archaea, the plants, or the bacteria and the archaea. What do we think? Well, we know it's not the plants. It's either going to be the archaea, the bacteria, or both of them. It is both of them, yeah. There are 3 domains. 2 of them are prokaryotic. The archaea and the bacteria. The plants, what domain are they part of?
The eukaryote.
Eukaryote. So that means plants have nucleus in their cells, is that right? Yes, good, okay. Okay, number 9 then, moving along. So Kano, the ability of a living organism to control its internal space or environment is called what? Homeostasis is the name for that, yeah. That's what I intended by that. And then lastly, number 10 then, the end, I think you guys have already seen the answer to this one. It was in the entrance test you did as well, yeah. Come on, for shame, who said dinosaur? Show me the dinosaur hands. People love the dinosaur. What we were hoping for was what, Michael?
B.
B is a?
Snail.
Snail, which is a?
Mollusk.
Which is a? Invertebrate. Yeah? So of these 4 organisms, 3 of them have a backbone and belong to the phylum Chordata. One of them does not belong to it. What about this odd one out thing? Has anybody met that terminology before? So funny. Students said to me, the first time I did this question, said, which one's the odd one out? And 6 hands went up. Teacher, what on earth does odd one out mean? You understand that, yeah? Yes, okay. The one that is unlike the rest. Okay, good. So this is a 2-hour class. You are entitled to 10-minute break for humanitarian reasons from each hour. So I normally run until it gets to this point. We're 3 minutes short of that. Maybe we'll stop because we're not used to this.